Hello. So, a little bit of problem setting up there, just a sec. So, yeah. Um, okay, so, so some slight technical difficulties there. That is not normal for anyone who saw shows back when pandemic was on. That was quite a regular occurrence, and this should be behind me. Um, so yeah, today's going to be a bit of a test run. I thought I'd do a little bit of a catch up as to where I've been, what I've been doing. So just very quickly that if anyone's watching that was here for quarantine TV, long time ago. Since then, partly because of doing these streams and some other jobs that I did, jumped into AV technician work. So that's kind of got me excited about coming back again. But it's also um, it's also caused a little bit of problems with finding the time. And so yeah. Excited to get back to it. Today's going to be a bit of a test run, as I say. Next week I should have a couple of guests on. One pre-recorded interview about an upcoming art show, and then a live guest talking about that, because we both know that person and sort of how we got to know them, what that other person is doing. So I'll confirm those leading up to it. I realise there isn't a GrassRoots TeeVee Facebook account, but that will be coming. So I will start harassing people to join both subscribe to this if you are not. It's really hard to do that. I forget where it is in relation to me. So I will be pestering people to sign up, to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're not already, to the Facebook, and start bombarding people and try and get people on board, both as viewers and as guests, collaborators, all this kind of stuff. So the things that I talked about a little while ago, really try to put those into action. So I'm just going to be talking about one thing today, try and get back into the flow of it. It's something I've been thinking about for a long while, which is it's something that is going to become very relevant, and it's also one of many things, similar things to be talked about, to try and change the political. The way people think about politics and sort of more far-reaching than that, but this is a particularly political thing. So this will be a feature going forward. I'm going to keep ranting to people about politics, both in real life and on here. So that's always going to be a thing, and hopefully again, get people on board to really expand these. But this, running forwards, will just be I will be titling this section "My Two Pennies," like my 2 cents, not legally actionable, just my thoughts and theories and yeah, hopefully try and get people telling me I'm wrong, or agreeing, or opening up that discussion for more discussion. So going straight into it, the phrase I want to talk about today is politicians. They're all the same. It's something I've heard from so many people in various different ways. People will say it all the time, and at its core, people are trying to say, "Oh, you can't trust politicians." But the reason people say, the fact that people say politicians are all the same, is because it tells us something about where this is all coming from, right? So let's put this to the test, right? So here we go. If I'm actually selecting, and or just don't. Okay. Let's see if it's. Yep. Okay. Right. So another technical issue there. So these two politicians, Rishi Sunak and Vladimir Putin. Much as I do not like the man closest to me, we do have to agree that these are two very, very different men, two very different politicians. Just, I mean, Sunak, so many bad things to say about him, but how many Russian soldiers has he sent into a pointless meat grinder based on pride and macho bullshit? They're probably zero. I can't say for sure, but yeah, round about zero. Whereas Putin, say what you like about him, he does lead a country. Can't say that about Sunak. Really can't say that about him. So two just very different people, right? Very different leaders. So yeah, are these two politicians the same? No, of course not. Let's get a bit less ridiculous, okay? Still not ridiculous. These two men, we were asked to choose between these two, and yeah, not the same man. In most conceivable ways, and almost as ridiculous as saying that they're all the same. Almost as ridiculous as saying Sunak and Putin are the same, because they're different on orders of magnitude. And so we were asked to pick between these two people, and you still got this thing. It's just like, politicians are all the same, you can't trust them. And with Johnson, you got the sort of thing of just the Trump thing, where it's just like, he's like us. Is he? Like, these phrases come up as well. They're linked together. It's part of the mind virus. The phrases like they're all the same comes from. It's this sort of ingrained propaganda that people really need to start looking into. Yes, so like Corbyn, you would have everyone had issues with him. I had issues with him. I voted for his party, but when you look at these two people, I don't know how anyone chose Johnson and thought, he's one of us. Mr. Bullingdon Club is one of us. So Johnson, yeah, away from the norm, sure, but it was kind of radical at the time to have a socialist leader of a socialist party too. So, bringing it to the current. So we're going to be asked to pick between these two men, and again, people are going to be saying, politicians, they're all the same. Well, these two men are very, very different. We can disagree on so much about both of them, but you have to agree that they are different. And once you agree that these two people are different, then you have to think about why people are saying it. They're saying it because they've been told to say it. Because not told by someone, you have to say this, but they've been ingrained in it. It's been ingrained in them to basically equate them. They're all the same. Why choose better? Why choose this one who says that they're going to do better? Because they won't. Why not choose the one who also says they'll do better? The phrase goes around all of the time, and people aren't thinking about why they're saying it. When we come to the next election, the differences between these two people are going to be very stark. They're really quite obvious already. One seems very capable, and at least is trying to do the right thing for both people. And if you say that's Sunak, shake your head. Like, come on. You know. But the thing with general elections is, my mum will always remind me this, when it comes to general election, you are not voting for the party. Okay? She's kind of wrong about that since the strengthening of the party whip. You can't just choose your representative because they have to toe the party line in certain circumstances, whether they want to or not, whether they believe it's good for their constituency or not. So, when it comes down to it, you do have to think about these two men. You do have to think about which party is right. My opinion says we need to get the Tories out of power completely, possibly forever, hopefully for a couple of decades. I'm even saying that there's a possibility that they're going to come in third place. I'd love to see it. It's an outside shot, but I'd like to see it because it's what they deserve. But when it comes down to it, we are going to have to talk more about our representatives, our actual MPs. So for me, in the area I'm in, I have always had the man on the left. Sorry, I don't know if it is on my left. Sometimes it gets swapped around. So the man with the man who looks like he's been smiling based on rough description of the act. The one closest to me. So that the one closest to me is Chris Philp. He's my current MP, and he is awful, even by Tory party standards. He's the kind of politician that the Tories wheel out to go onto the news and pretend to be a human being and defend the indefensible. And there's a story I would like to tell you about him, but I actually don't know whether I can tell you this story because I overheard it from someone, and I don't know whether they're allowed to talk about what happened in that room. So I'm going to try and get in touch with that guy and check with him because it's a funny story. And when we get, what I would like to do with these two men is to look into them, do a much deeper profile on both of them. So the man on the man furthest from me, on my right, I don't know if that's right for you, is Ben Taylor, and he is running against Chris Philp in the next election. So for once, I know there is a good candidate against Chris Philp. The reason I know this is because I've not met him, but back when I was doing Quarantine TV, I interviewed him on the show. I had his flyer come through the door, sat there next to the doormat for about a week. I stepped over it multiple times before suddenly my brain goes, wait, hang on a minute, and I picked it up. I was like, I know this guy, and I interviewed him because he was running a mutual aid group during the pandemic. So apparently about 40 something, he could correct me if we ever have another interview, about 40 something WhatsApp groups, all dedicated to small little areas. So spreading out the work of getting groceries to people, helping people out with other things, people who were shielding, trying to get them the help they needed, liaising with the food banks and the similar to a soup kitchen, but so yeah, just getting the resources needed to the people who needed them, and just helping people out. And this really, I really enjoyed interviewing him because he was talking about something that was, it was a situation that's terrible, but like he was really upbeat about it. He was really really a nice man to talk to, and so yeah, for once I've got this really nice choice. Not that it's much of a choice for me, but these two people, I know a lot about both of them. They are my candidates, and if you're in a different area, you should really look into the people who will be representing you. Obviously, take the party into account, not just because that is a factor, but also the party they've chosen to side with is part of who they are. Chris Philp has been willing to stay with not just the Tory party, but like Boris Johnson's Tory party. That was a real low even for them, and he was still all in, and he still is now, as far as I can tell. So, you've got a guy who's willing to put up with Boris Johnson's Tory party, uh, Theresa May's and all of that. He's stuck with them through and through, and the things I know about him tell me that he's a despicable human being, or possibly a robot, one of the two. And on the other hand, you've got Ben Taylor, who everything I know about him says he is a good man who will try and do good. And that phrase that goes around, the politicians are all saying, they're all in the same system. The system is kind of broken, but it's not irredeemably broken. So, one of the things I want to be doing with this show is trying to get people to think about these ideas that have gone into their heads, and how they just don't hold up to reality. And just trying to combat that political, I don't know what the word is, political skepticism, almost nihilism, where people just don't believe any good can happen in politics anymore. And I have to believe that's wrong, because if we sit here and say, like, okay, politics can't change anything, well, I can't change anything individually. None of us can. You're going to try and convince the billionaires to save the world? No, it's not going to happen. We need to use politics and journalism, these tools that have been sort of wrested away from us to some degree. We need to get those back, and it is doable. They are supposed to be there for us, and they can be taken back. And when we do, we can hold these billionaires to account and start to tackle those big things, the climate change, the things that are going to come from the inevitable climate change. We can slow down and possibly save the planet, but in the closer term, we need to be preparing for the things that are going to happen, the things that are already happening. And again, waiting for billionaires is like waiting for a train that ain't coming. Elon Musk is supposedly doing stuff for humanity, but I mean, what's his version of saving humanity? Sending some of us to Mars, and that's how you save the... I don't see that should be the only way to try and save the human race, is to get a few of us off the planet and roll the dice on that. So yeah, when it all comes down to it, I think stuff like this can do really well. The alt-right have done, I won't say amazing things. They've achieved a lot in the most horrible way with using platforms like this, and the left hasn't quite managed that as much. But maybe that's the billions in dark money going to fund the alt-right version of this. But there's got to be funding out there for actually telling the truth, actually trying to do some good. So that's what I'm going to be aiming for long term, trying to get some funding in, some sponsors and collaborators, and obviously bring up the views and try and create some content that's worth watching. I don't know if this was, as I say, this was a bit of a test run. Getting back into it. I need to put my sign up actually. For those who weren't watching in pandemic. So, yeah, I back in pandemic times, someone pointed out I said so often that actually they sat there and watched one of my live streams and just did a little tally. Apparently, I did 53 That one doesn't count. It that second one does. 53 in one stream. So it was it was time to try and fix something. So I pinned this thing to above my camera. So it got me looking at the camera bit more and stopped me from saying so I will be posting that up above my camera next time. Like I say, couple of guests hopefully, some more stuff to talk about, and yeah, and updating the graphics as well. This was a bit cobbled together, but I've got my hotkeys going there just to annoy you with that a little bit. So gotten back into the flow of it a little bit. Next week should be a little bit smoother, and hopefully I'll see you all then. Ta-ta.